Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Grow with Aziza. Today, our episode focuses on consistency. How to stay consistent when you feel lazy. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever planned to do something important, like maybe studying, working on a project, exercising, working on your goal, maybe starting a business, reading a book, or maybe learning a new skill. But then you sit down and think, oh, it's okay. I'm not in the mood right now. I will do it later. But the thing is that later never comes. You spend hours scrolling through social media, watching videos, thinking about what you should be doing, but not actually doing it. Then at the end of the day, you feel guilty, you feel frustrated, and you wonder, why am I so lazy? How do I stop procrastinating? How do I become more productive? How do I stay consistent even when I don't feel like it? If this sounds familiar, well, this episode is definitely for you because today we are going to talk about laziness, about consistency, self discipline, motivation, productivity, and practical ways to stop putting things off and finally start getting things done. And here is something important. Most people are not actually lazy. They are tired, they are overwhelmed, they are distracted, or stuck in bad habits. So let's talk about it. The first thing I would like to ask you, are you really lazy? Well, many people call themselves lazy, but often that is not the real problem. Sometimes you are mentally exhausted. Sometimes you are overwhelmed by too many responsibilities. Sometimes you are afraid of failing. Sometimes you are waiting for motivation. Sometimes you are spending too much time on your phone. Or maybe you are trying to do too much at once. What looks like laziness is often something deeper. The first thing is being honest with yourself. You really need to be honest with yourself. You really need to ask yourself, am I actually lazy or am I overwhelmed? Am I lazy or am I afraid to start? Am I lazy or am I constantly distracted? Because the solution depends on the real problem. So, what is actually the real problem? What do you actually feel? Do you feel lazy or do you feel tired and overwhelmed? Seriously, what is actually the real problem? And you are the one who can answer this question. And you need to be really honest with yourself. Let's think about another point. The biggest lie about motivation. One reason people stay stuck is because they believe that they will start when they feel motivated. But the problem is that motivation is unreliable. Some days you feel motivated and you feel excited, other days you don't. Some days you are full of energy, some days you are tired. If you only work when motivation appears, you will never be consistent. So, the most productive people don't actually rely on motivation. They rely on habits. They rely on routines. They rely on discipline. They do things even when they don't feel like it. And that is what creates result. So what you need to do is that you need to figure out. Seriously, because lazy people focus on feelings. Disciplined people focus on action. So you need to figure out, what do you usually focus on? Do you focus on feelings, or do you focus on completing your goals no matter how you feel? Think about that. Because the thing is, many people wake up and ask themselves, how am I feeling today? If they feel motivated, they work. If they don't feel motivated, they quit. But disciplined people ask a different question. Disciplined people ask things like, what needs to be done today? Not, how do I feel today? So you got the difference between the two? If you ask yourself about your feelings, like if you say, how do I feel today? That means you are focusing on feelings. But if you ask yourself, what do I need to do today? In this case, you are focusing on action, right? So whether you feel like it or not, simple mindset shift can change your entire life. So, really, you need to ask yourself, all right? Another thing, you need to stop making everything so big. One reason people feel lazy is because their goals feel huge. For example, instead of saying, I will work today for 3 hours, maybe you can say, I will work for 10 minutes. Because trust me, once you start working for 10 minutes, you will continue working for even 1 hour or two without realizing. So, this is the thing, you should not set big goal for yourself, right? Set small goals, because unintentionally these small goals will lead you to complete the whole thing. Like, for example, let's say you want to clean your home, but you feel so tired and maybe you feel so lazy. So instead of saying, I need to clean the whole house today, you can say, I will clean one room. And one room will lead you to clean another room, then to the living room, to the dining room, and in the end, you find yourself completing the whole house. All right? So this is what you need to do. Your brain actually resists big tasks. Small tasks feel easier. And once you start, momentum begins. Here is one thing that I want to share with you, which is called the 5 minute rule. What do I mean by that? You need to tell yourself something like, I will do this for just 5 minutes. That's it. Because these 5 minutes will lead you to spend 10 minutes, and the 10 minutes will lead you to spend 15 minutes, and then 20 minutes, and so on. Most of the time, once you start, you will continue. But the hardest part isn't the work, the hardest part is the beginning. So that is why you need to play with your mind. You need to convince your brain that you will be working or studying or doing something for 10 minutes. And believe me, once you start, you will continue working on what you have to do. All right. So this technique actually works for studying, exercising, reading, writing, learning, and everything. All right. So the goal is simply to start. Another thing that I want to tell you about is the environment. Your environment is making you lazy sometimes. Let's be honest. I know it is hard to focus when things are messing up. Like, for example, the phone. It is hard to focus when your phone is beside you sometimes, unless you are turning it into maybe silent mode, or maybe if you turn off your Wi-Fi, things like that. In this case, you can actually focus on what you need to do because it is actually hard to stay productive when social media is constantly competing for attention. Many people blame themselves when the real problem is their environment. So, if you want consistency, what you need to do is that put your phone away. Another thing, you can turn off notifications or maybe create a clean workspace or maybe try to remove distractions. And you can even make good habits easier. So, the easier you make good habits, the more likely you will follow through. And then you need to stop waiting for perfect conditions. Many people say, I will start when I have more time. I will start when life gets easier. I will start next month. I will start after the holidays. I will start when, excuse me, I will start when I am ready. But there will always be something. Life will always be busy. There will always be challenges. There will always be reasons to wait. The people who succeed are not waiting for perfect conditions. They simply start with what they have, where they are, wherever they are. They simply start right now. Right? Really, they simply start right now. And this actually leads us to consistency. Consistency beats intensity. What does that mean? This is actually one of the most important lessons. Doing something for 15 minutes every day is actually better than doing it for 5 hours once a month. And the thing is that many people actually work extremely hard for a few days, then disappear for weeks. That is not consistency. Consistency is about doing something every day. Real growth comes from small daily actions. So you really need to think about it. If you want to succeed in something, you need to keep yourself consistent. Do not basically start today and stop tomorrow or continue the following week or the following month. That is not consistency. All right? You really need to keep on working until you finish your goal, until you finish your project. You can't keep on skipping. I know sometimes we don't feel motivated. I know that there are reasons out of our control. That is totally normal. We are humans. We have feelings. Sometimes feelings control our action. I totally know that. I have been there and I'm still there. But what I always do is that I always try if I am not able to, let's say, finish, for example, my work today, at least I do something. At least I spend maybe a few minutes in it. And then I continue later. It's like when I am not able to focus, I take a break for some time and then I continue after that. But my break is not always long. It can be like maybe for a few minutes, maybe for a few hours, maybe for a day if I need to, but then I continue after that. And the same thing goes to you. You really need to be consistent with your work, with your projects, with your studies, with your goals. Seriously, you really need to be consistent. All right, this is really important. So, seriously, working for 15 minutes every day is far more effective than working for maybe um, 1 hour every week, maybe. Consistency is really important. So, what to do on days you feel lazy? Let's be practical. Some days, as I said, you are going to feel lazy. You are going to feel unproductive. You are going to feel unmotivated. And that is totally normal. So, on those days, what you can do is that you can lower your target, but don't skip the habit. If your goal, for example, is 30 minutes of exercise, do maybe 10 minutes. If your goal is reading 20 pages, read 5 pages. If your goal is studying for 1 hour, study for 15 minutes. Do something because maintaining momentum matters more than being perfect. And people often think laziness only wastes time, but it costs much more than that. It costs confidence, not just time. Every time you promise yourself you will do something and don't do it, what happens? You lose trust in yourself. You start doubting your ability to follow through. You stop believing in your own promises. But every time you keep a promise to yourself, no matter how small, you build self respect. And self respect leads to confidence. So, you really need to stop identifying yourself as a lazy person. Be careful with this label. If you constantly tell yourself, I am lazy, I am not in the mood, I am not disciplined, I never finish anything, what happens? Your brain starts believing it. So instead, maybe you can tell yourself something like, I am learning consistency, I am building discipline, I am improving every day. I am becoming someone who follows through because the way you talk to yourself matters a lot. So, before ending today's episode, I would like to share with you one final thought. If you have been feeling lazy lately, I want you to remember something. You don't need more motivation. You need a smaller first step. You don't need the perfect plan. You need action. You don't need to change your entire life today. You just need to do the next thing. One page, maybe one workout, one task, one step. Because consistency is not about doing huge things. It is about doing small things over and over again. And eventually, those small actions become habits. Those habits become discipline. And that discipline changes your life. So, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for everything. And remember, you don't have to feel motivated to be consistent. You only have to start. So, yeah, thank you so much. And I wish you a wonderful day. And I will be looking forward to having you on the next episode. Also, make sure to subscribe to this channel so you won't miss any of the upcoming videos. And share this episode with your friends, your colleagues, your classmates. Share it with those who really needs to be disciplined, who really needs to feel motivated, and who really needs to listen to this episode. So, thank you so much once again, and I will be looking forward to having you on the upcoming episode. Have a great day and take care. Bye bye.